general fund, as this is the heart and soul of the city operations. Looking at the general fund, if you flip to page 7, there's a chart with the breakdown of your revenues. City, one second, sorry. Looking at the income statement for the general fund had revenues about 43 million. Looking at this pie chart, you'll see that most of that's your property taxes of about 39 million. And you flip over to the next page, you have a breakdown of your expenses. City had about $43 million in expenditures as well. Obviously, most of this is your public safety. A number I like to look at to kind of show the health of the general fund is how many months expenditures you have in fund balance. At year end, the city had about 193 days in fund balance. This is about 6.5 months, which is a great spot to be. Consider your June 30 year end, which will get you all the way into that November, December, where you start collecting more property taxes. I think that's a great position. And looking at page 9, you can kind of see the growth of the general fund over the last 5 years. You start here at $4 million in fund balance in 2020, and it's grown all the way up to 23 million. So y'all are operating great. It's doing a good job building up that fund balance to have excess to just keep the city healthy. Y'all are doing everything good. It's a good spot. So everything looks good. The next section is the business type statement deposition. This is your water and sewer, stormwater, sanitation, whatnot. Looking at that, the assets decreased about 9 million, result to about 196 million, which is offset by liabilities of about 51 million, which resulted in net position of 145 million, which was a little bit of a decrease from prior year, but there was a lot of pay down of debt. They had all those expenses with the cleanup from the hurricanes. Have obviously had some unique circumstances, but still doing good financially. The business type funds had operating revenues of about 43 million, and then operating expenses of about 36 million. So you had a income of about 6.3 million for the year. So it was a good year for all around for the city. General funds increased, the operating revenues increased from prior year in the business types. I think everything looks good. There's a few things that auditing standards require that we communicate to you all. With y'all receiving an unmodified opinion, no findings. These are essentially just a formality. We had no disagreements with management. There were no uncorrected misstatements. And as your independent auditor, we were independent in conducting the audit. And with that concludes my presentation. Unless there are any specific questions, thank you again for having me down here. I look forward to working with the city in the future.
Council, any questions? Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To make a blanket statement for our fine council that once again, our finance department proving they are absolutely the best at what they do. So Chuck, thank you, and thank your team very much. Richard, not bad at balancing a budget either. All right, we're going to move on to item 4. This is a public hearing item. Consideration of an ordinance for a conditional use permit for a machine and welding shop in a highway commercial zoning district. Matt Martin will present. Matt, how you doing?
Doing fine, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Two public hearing items from the Planning Commission on your agenda this evening. This first one is conditional use permit for one of 2 welding shops. Remember, we talked about the tale of 2 welding shops at the work session. This first one is for property located at 821 and 823 South Lee Street. It is for a machine and welding shop, conditional use permit, and highway commercial zoning. Remember from our discussion earlier that this is a provision that's been in the code for about 40 years, but we have not had any in the past 15 years until now, and we have 2 of them in the same month. But welding shop, machine shop falls under the light manufacturing category of our use table. There are permitted use in the industrial zonings, but a conditional use in CH, which is case-by-case review depending on the details. The good part is both of these are welding machine shops of the smaller variety and in fairly intensive commercial areas, so they generally fit well. But specifically for this one, it is in the portion of South Lee Street between Griffin Avenue and South Patterson on the east side of the road. Maps in your packet and on the screen show you the zoning pattern. Character area is Community Activity Center. which supports certainly the CH zoning that's been there. Aerial imagery, you see the rooftops of the buildings around. Ella's Restaurant and their drive-through facility directly across the street to the west, Weisenbaker Garage to the north, and other commercial uses nearby. No site plan is in your packet, but like we talked about at the work session, these are existing buildings. They have already moved in. They want to complete the renovation process. No proposed expansions, but if there are to be changes to the site in later times, it would go through the regular plan review process, the same as any other commercial property. Subject property, this is the smaller of the two buildings on the two parcels that only total about 1/4 of an acre. The southern building and then Ewell Street, right-of-way on the south edge of the property, and then a quick tour around clockwise. This is southward down Lee Street, looking toward Patterson's intersection. Ella's across the street to the west, and then the northward view back up Lee Street toward Griffin Avenue. Planning Commission reviewed this at their meeting on May the 27th, found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, the conditional use review criteria that are there in your packet, and they're recommending approval by unanimous vote subject to 2 conditions, and these are as follows. Approval shall be granted in the name of the applicant only for a machine and welding shop facility in conjunction with the applicant's heavy construction business. And number 2, conditional use approval shall expire 1 year from the date of approval if no business license for the proposed use has been issued by that date. The applicant's representative is here if you have some detailed questions for him. Otherwise, I'll be glad to answer questions you may have for me.
Council, any questions for Matt? None. Matt, thank you. This is a public hearing item. I'll now ask if there's anybody who would like to speak in favor of this request to please come forward at this time. State your name.
Hi, I'm Haley Mills. I'm the co-owner of Mills Permanent Medical.
Mr. Mayor, council people, thank you very much for having us. We are, of course, in favor of passing this conditional use permit. As previously stated, we're going to use this as a logistic hub for our business. It's basically not 8 to 5 welding. That's not what we're doing. We need a place for our stuff. Every guy that's in construction or every guy that's anywhere needs a place to put his stuff. This is our place. Got a nice shop in it that has previous welding experience in it, so we're not afraid of burning it down. The only welding we're going to be doing is just in support of our operations elsewhere. We're going to be fixing stuff. We're going to be putting in plates and possibly drilling some holes, technically doing some nice things for ourselves to enhance what we're doing elsewhere. We're not intending to have smoke billowing out of it. We're not intending to have junk laying around. It needs shaped up. We're going to do that. We're going to tear down that icky building you see up there on the top of the screen, and we're going to make a nice parking lot with an office area that's habitable for people to come walk in and say, hi, my name's Fred, and I'm going to say, hi, my name's Chuck. We're going to organize it. We're going to be able to be efficient, clean, and thorough. We're going to take care of the streets. I'm advanced stormwater trained. I've been a construction superintendent most of my life, if not a foreman, if not a lead man, if not just a plain grunt. I know good work from bad, and we're going to make it good. We're going to do something with the outside. Chaz wants to reskin it. Maybe we can repaint it and have it nice, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be an enhancement to Valdosta, and that's what we want to do. We don't want to just live here. We don't want to just be here. We want to be in Valdosta. We want to make friends, make neighbors, and be a constructive portion of Valdosta for its betterment, and thus our betterment.
Council, any questions for the Mills family?
Sir, with your renovation that you're saying you're going to do tremendous things in the city of Valdosta, I say thank you. But are you going to hire and employ you while you're doing all that in Valdosta?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not a darn bit scared of hiring local people, whether they know anything or not. Their pay will be commensurate with what skills they bring to the table when they show up. Mm-hmm. Now, we're not only into, we're into heavy bridge construction, mostly steel and welding, but we are breaking into earthwork. We're breaking into concrete. We're breaking into rebar, which we're very well vested in. I've got the scars to prove it. If a guy doesn't know anything, and he looks like he can, and he wants to, put him to work, okay? And then we can train him from within. That's the best place to get good hands that are loyal, that stick with you, that work hard, is when you bring them into the craft, show them that you care, and then come to Papa. Let's go to work. And if they're willing, maybe I'm willing.
Thank you, you answered my question.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Council, any further questions? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else at this time that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Seeing none, council, it's yours for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve this request as presented, along with the two conditions.
Second. A motion and a second. Any further comments? Other than the Griffin Avenue corridor continues to get better? All in favor, show of hands. It's unanimous. Thank you and congratulations. We'll now move on to item B, consideration of an ordinance for conditional use permit for a machine and welding shop. Go figure. Matt.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. This is welding shop number 2, and I've got a sluggish device here, so bear with me. This one is also highway commercial zoning, same request, but different applicant, different property. This one is about 2,000 feet away to the south. This one is located near the intersection of South Troop and South Patterson. You see the zoning pattern of the area around it, still the same community activity center character area. Area image, this is a little bit larger property, a little bit larger building, potentially room for expand, but as you see, a very different land use pattern that's around. It is dominated by a very large salvage yard to the north, which is certainly a very heavy industrial use, which makes this light industrial use fit in very nicely that's there. As described in your packet, this property has a long history of being a welding and machine shop with a family-run business, and the good news is it is proposed to continue to be a family-run business. And the applicants are here that can explain that history in a little better detail. But the maps and imagery that's available to you, subject property, remember this is one where they've already started renovation work, fixing up the building. This is a fairly recent picture as seen from South Troop Street on the south side of the building with a little storage yard, and then the overflowing salvage yard to the north, intersection of Troop and Patterson. And this is what it used to look like before. And that same side of the building now looks like this. And some of the other before and after, this is the view from South Troop. And then how it looks more recently. So they've already been hard at work fixing up the building. I think doing a lot of work on the inside as well. But they are anxious to continue on, I think, the family legacy that was there. So this one also was reviewed by Planning Commission on May 27th. They found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, the conditional use review criteria, and they are recommending approval of it subject to two very similar conditions. First one is approval shall be granted in the name of the applicant only for a machine and welding shop facility. And number 2, same 1-year expiration. Conditional use approval shall expire 1 year from the date of approval if no business license for the proposed use has been issued by that date. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Council, any questions for Matt? Matt, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing item. Is there anybody that would like to come forward at this time and speak in favor of this request?
Hi, my name is Walter Fletcher. This is my wife, Reese. I'm the third generation Fletcher that is making a living at this location. My grandfather built the building in 1956. It's just something that just came up in the last year. Really had not intended to purchase the property. Father came to me and asked if I was interested. Put it together in the last 6 months. Look forward to serving the community. I've been here 54 years. And just look forward to be a part of it.
You've already made it better. Council, any questions for the Fletchers?
As always, sir, I'm about people getting jobs. With you doing this renovation, are you taking applications for young men and ladies to apply for jobs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you both. Thank you both. Is there anybody else that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, is there anybody that would like to come forward and speak in opposition to this request? Again, seeing none, council is yours for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve this request along with the two stated conditions as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Council, thank you. Fletcher family, congratulations and good luck. Move on to item 5, bids, contracts, agreements, and expenditures. Item A, consideration of bids for the Knights Mill Lift Station Repair and Upgrade Project. Ben O'Dowd, our unbelievable city engineer, will present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right, so this first agenda item is, as stated, the rehab of the Knights Mill lift station. You're familiar with the Knights Mill subdivision. This is the lift station that serves that portion of the city of Valdosta. It's located just north of the subdivision off of Knights Academy Road. This project started as a simple rehab and refit of the lift station. Utilities department staff approached the engineering department staff and solicited our assistance with delivering this project. Initially, it was a pretty straightforward scope of work. During Hurricane Helene, this lift station experienced some pretty severe flooding and damage to the generator. And so in response to this, my staff has been working to develop plans for a more robust rehabilitation of the lift station, which involves raising it 2.5 feet to mitigate the risk of floodwater intrusion. We had the mandatory pre-bid meeting, as stated, on May 6th. We had pretty good attendance. We had 2 bids at the actual bid opening on May 22nd. I've attached the bid tabulation. If you'll flip there, Teresa, just so they can see the bid spread. All right, so if you scroll up just a little bit more, there we go. So we had a pretty wide bid spread on this, which my staff investigated thoroughly. And we discovered that the unit cost for the lift station for JWA was $400,000 roughly, higher than the lift station unit cost package complete for RPI, which is where most of the cost differential comes from. But we feel comfortable recommending this contract for approval to y'all. I did want to add that we included a 20% contingency on this. If you'll flip through, Teresa, this is the little further. All right, so this is the first set of plans that we have ever, well, I won't say ever. In the last 14 years, this is the first set of plans that we have delivered under the engineering department's title block, which means that the engineering department did all of the actual technical design on this, which saved the city roughly $50,000, $60,000, which is a meaningful contribution, I think, and something that we're very proud of. I just wanted to kind of mention that because I'm very proud of my department, I'm very proud of my staff, and all the ways that we're able to help the city grow and improve. But as stated, staff is recommending the approval of the award of the contract with a 20% contingency to RPI with a total not to exceed amount of $1,137,489.60. Any questions?
Council, any questions for Ben? Eric?
Ben,
Yes, sir.
with this rehabilitation, will this support any future growth out there in that area?
So the intent of the project was not necessarily to support future growth, but we did see about a 40% increase in lift station capacity as a result of this. We did upgrade the pumps to the city's new standard for package lift stations. So yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ben? Yep, please, Thomas.
Ben, we spoke about, recently about the, standard 10%
Yes, sir.
contingency. Okay, this one's 20.
Yes, sir. That's,
Okay.
the goal there is to not come back before y'all and ask for more money.
Okay,
Um,
which may be
It's a
more,
It's a small project, and so my staff and I have been talking on smaller projects, both in magnitude, scope, and cost. We find that the 10% contingency is a lot of times insufficient, or becomes, we get really close with some of these contingencies on very small projects, as we'll discuss on Oakdale later on this evening. But if the bid opening is under $1 million, staff is recommending a 20% contingency. Because if you'd imagine, so for instance, we let Old Cliettville Road widening for, I believe, $5.5, $6 million. The 10% contingency on that is $500,000, $650,000. On a project of this magnitude, a 10% contingency would be $90,000, $95,000, which is, we're gonna burn through that pretty quick if we hit some unsuitable soils or if we hit something underground. As soon as you punch through that layer and as soon as you go underground, there's stuff that you're gonna find, stuff that you're gonna discover. And so just having that larger reserve, that's the goal of that for a small project.
my concern comes from the discrepancy in the two bids being
Okay.
so disparate in combination with the higher contingency. I mean, do you see how that could look?
So if the concern is regarding contingency being related to the reduced bid or the lower bid,
Yes.
my staff would have recommended having a larger contingency on this for JWA as well, just based on the size of the project. It's a very dense project. It's not a big, long, we get better unit costs on longer projects. Longitudinal runs of pipe that span for a mile, mile and a half. There's more wiggle room on that. You run into fewer issues with that. This is just a lift station overhaul. And so it's a very dense, the opportunity for issues to arise that necessitate more money is pretty high here.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that was one of my concerns too. I was just looking at the difference in the cost. And, they're bidding for it like, at, the price of the bids. Because, just noticing sometimes like that, and that's a large contingency.
Yes, ma'am.
And if we do, award this, and they get that contingency, and then there's a later comeback, a request for an adjustment, that you say they found something different, or, they found other things, would that contingency be still 20% because of what you're saying, the cost now, or if it was, like, we had to do an addendum, because other things were found once they started working on this project? Would
So
we-
inevitably, regardless of which contractor we select, if we get underground, we find a old oil drum or something ridiculous buried underground. I mean, we find stuff underground that's buried from years gone by that we weren't aware of before. And a lot of times it's not anything nefarious or crazy like that. It's just bad dirt. So a lot of times when we break in and we start discovering bad dirt that we can't get good compaction on, we then have to reintroduce new dirt. And the way that we handle that is we have a cost per cubic yard that the contractor bids on, cost to remove and replace unsuitable soils. And that's generally on a project like this. I can imagine that's probably where we're going to dig into our contingency the most. But again, I know that we've had a lot of discussions about disparities between bid tabs, one way or the other, right? So there's so much that goes into the disparity. It's not necessarily, that one contractor is more or less aware, or that one contractor has good intentions or bad intentions with the city or for the project. Most of the time the most thing that it has to do with is just work availability, workload availability. And so is a contractor too busy to take the work? Or is a contractor, do they have a gap in workforce availability? That's, there's
So-
a ton of different things that can feed into it.
Well,
But
my question is, would the 20% contingency be on the 947 plus thousand, or would it be on the extra amount that we would have to pay? Like if amount came up and it's more than the 947,000, it's still gonna be a 20% contingency fee on the increased amount that they
so the
later found we needed to pay.
contingency is just council's approval of the use of additional funds in the effort of completing and delivering the project. And so the contingency is not anything that the contractor recommends or that the contractor produces or proposes in any way. That's staff's recommendation to council saying, hey, this is what the contractor said it would cost. It's a unit cost bid, i.e. you're paying for individual units. So you're paying for a foot of pipe, you're paying for the lift station, you're paying for individual manholes. And so we have these unit cost bids that we fold these additional, we call it under the line, but we fold these additional unit costs under the line that aren't considered as part of the bid, but they're there just so that we know that we have a competitive cost for the removal and replacement of unsuitable material. And so that the contingency is our recommendation to council saying, hey, we know that the bid opening was X dollars. We're recommending that you authorize the use of funds 20% in excess of that amount. And so that's what staff is recommending is the authorization of funds in the amount of $1.1 odd million for the delivery of the project. So if there's any funds that are required to deliver the project under that unit cost contract that are in excess of the 947, they would be taken out of that 20% contingency amount, which is $189,581. Does that answer your question?
That kind of answers it, and I understand that we would use that extra amount. I was just concerned that if the bid right now is 947,000, and for unforeseen reason, things come up and we have to do an adjustment, and the bid changes to maybe 1.8 million. And then would it still be a 20% on that increased amount, or just on the nine?
No, if the way that the not to proceed or the not to exceed amounts work is if we encounter a substantial increase in, I mean, that would be a
Yes.
very substantial increase in
Yes.
cost. But that would have to come back before you for authorization and for approval. Similarly to how we're gonna, when we get down to the Oakdale storm pipe improvement, that we're gonna have to do that on that one. That would have to come back before you. Staff can't, we can't authorize payment of funds in excess of the amount that council approves. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Councilman Gibbs, you had a question?
I was next, Ben.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say, compliment you and your team. First of all, y'all are consistently falling within the margins on virtually all of these projects. I think
Yes, sir.
tonight's one of the first nights I can remember in the last 18 years I've been in office where we're having to go back and add a little bit to a project, and it's only, I think $16,000.
Yes, sir.
Setting aside the Jerry Jones widening, that one did go up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a different story. But I also wanted to make it a point, since you brought it to our attention, how much we as council and mayor appreciate the work of your team putting together that packet.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilman Gibbs?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for me? No.
Any other questions, council? Great work on the design and great explanation
Thank you.
on all the questions. Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as presented with the 20% contingency.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. All in opposition, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to item B, consideration of a request to approve an adjustment to the contract agreement for the utility relocation costs for that unbelievable project on Jerry Jones Drive and the Eager Road widening project. Ben O'Dowd.
Yes, sir. So back in 2021, David Frost initially brought this agreement to y'all with a non-binding pre-let estimate in the amount of $3,076,727.11. The agreement was authorized, approved, signed, and submitted back to the state. But during that council meeting, Mr. Frost did state to you all that should the amount be in excess of what was initially portrayed to you, that it would be brought back before you for informational purposes to you. And so that is the intent of this meeting. The amount that we're requesting to approve is $4,270,098.13. That is the actual letting contract amount for the utilities. Well, actually, correction, that is not the letting contract amount for the utilities. The letting contract of the amount for the utilities that my office received was $5,892,545.92. My office exerted a tremendous amount of effort in communication with Jerry Jones, explained to them, to the state, the financial hardship that the city is in and has been since we have experienced all of these storms. They were very, very generous. And as a result of that negotiation, I guess, I wouldn't call it a negotiation, but as a result of that productive discussion, they did reduce the contract item amount by $1,622,447.79. That is $1.6 million of contractually obligated funds, which the state has covered on our behalf as part of this project. Any questions for me?
Council, any questions for Ben on this request?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
With GDOT, aren't they doing something, also providing some funding or doing something with the widening of this area as well? I thought they said that they had some information, what they were helping with, well, I see they're helping with widening this, and they were presenting so much funds and everything for that. They're not doing anything, a project with this?
Are you referring to the Jerry Jones Eager
Eager
Road
Road
widening project?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. This is the utility relocation in association with that project.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what mainly, with the city, what we're having to do is just pay for the utilities part to be removed, changed over, right?
Relocated, we're doing lining, valve adjustments, water main realignment, service reconnections. So all of the water and sewer related fees, or all of the water and sewer related elements of the project, in order to make the project work, the city's paying for that
Okay.
portion of the project.
Oh, you know what's the time frame on it? Because I know I was listening to them talking about when they were gonna be working with that area.
Yes, ma'am, it's right now.
Not
It's
soon.
actively under construction.
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
And we maybe what could be complete by 2026. I'm trying to see if it's the same
Oh,
one.
no, it's 2028, 2029 timeframe.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's gonna be a very long project.
And this widening area is gonna be from, could you tell me what streets it's gonna be from with Jerry Jones and Eagle Road, starting kinda like,
It's the widening of Jerry Jones and Eager from Oak Street to Country Club, the Bay Tree. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions for me?
thank you.
Council?
Just to
Do you have
add-
one? Okay. Yes,
Just
sir.
to add to, so Ms. Tully will know, Councilwoman Tully will know, that they've started at Bay Tree, right? And they're working their way back.
I believe
around
they've been working on, they call it right-of-way perfection or clearing, but they've been working on that, yes, sir.
And total cost of the project?
North of $30 million. Well north.
GDOT's picking up the remainder other than the
Yeah, so we're,
relocation.
yes.
All right. Council, any other questions?
The mayor wanted me to repeat, I see the work being done over there, and the patrol, how they stop the traffic with the little stop arm and et cetera. So I see the work is being done over in
Yeah,
that
it's-
area.
Well done.
active construction site,
Well done.
for sure.
If there's no other questions, council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous? Ben, item C, consideration of a request to approve a license agreement with Georgia Southern and Florida Railway Company.
Yes, sir. This is a right-of-way encroachment agreement or license agreement with Norfolk Southern. This is related to the Sugar Creek Emergency Repair Project that's been authorized. So this is one of two encroachment permits that we need. We need one from Norfolk Southern as well as from Georgia Power. I believe both of those are coming before you tonight. But this is the Norfolk Southern one. And this basically just authorizes the city manager to sign the occupancy agreement. If you'll remember, we had to do something similar with the emergency repair that we did off of US 84 with the Knights Creek trunk line. So anytime we enter into the railroad right away, we have to formalize that agreement and have occupancy agreement that dictates the terms of our use of their property.
Ben, thank you. Council, any questions for Ben? None? Ben, council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion that we approve the recommendation as stated.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. Unanimous? Ben, item D, consideration of request to approve a Federal Emergency Management Agency grant agreement for emergency watershed protection funding for damages from Hurricane Helene. It continues.
Yes, sir. This is my staff has been pursuing a EWP grant from, it's actually the NRCS. I apologize for that typo, but it's the Natural Resource Conservation Service. But this is a federal grant which provides the city with funds to enter into and clear our waterways within the city limits. And this is a tough grant to get. Involved a lot of effort on my staff's part. This is the actual agreement that authorizes the city manager and mayor to sign all of the required forms in order to enter into that funding relationship with the federal government. I did want to point out that the total grant amount is $1,128,750, $1.1 million. Roughly $1 million of that is to cover the actual removal and the effort, and then 78,000 odd of that is to cover technical assistance, which is the next agenda item that we're going to cover. So we have to basically develop rudimentary plans and then present those to NRCS for approval so that they can approve our impact area within the buffer. And so this would allow the city manager to sign any necessary agreements in order to enter into that funding relationship. Any questions for me?
Council? Yes, Eric?
Ben, have we identified who we're gonna get to remove this, or will this be staff?
No, sir. This will be competitively bid.
Okay.
Any contractor that wishes to perform the work and who meets the criteria as far as bonding and insurance, they're going to be, anybody can put their name in the hat, per se.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have we identified what areas that we're going to attack first?
Yes, sir. So our initial submittal was for 3 Mile Branch, 3 Mile Branch, 2 Mile Branch from Berkeley to Oak, and Hightower Creek from Sugar Creek to St. Augustine. Those are the 3 stream segments. I hope that we don't have to get good at this, but I think that we'll know how this whole thing goes next go round if we do have to do this again.
And this should be a sufficient amount of money to cover those?
I sure hope so, sir.
I mean, I'm just,
it's kind of one of those things.
I mean, it
where-
needs to be done, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking.
So the way that the funding proposal works is you communicate to them the level of effort and the linear footage of stream that you need cleared and the level of intensity of the work, and then they produce a funding amount proposed for your use.
So if you need an extra 150, 200,000 to truly complete it, you'll come back before us?
We would need to bring that back before you, yes, sir.
All right, please do so.
One thing that I would request your assistance with, is we cannot legally enter onto some of these properties. We don't have entitlements or rights to enter onto those properties. And so we have been actively for the past several weeks, we've been reaching out to property owners and soliciting their signature of rake-out easements. So basically, it's an easement that allows us, we're a contractor of the cities, to enter onto the property and remove any obstructions of the flow of water that we deem necessary from those properties. So if there's any input or solicited help from y'all, it's to speak to your constituents that live along those reaches and encourage them, and mostly just reassure them that we're doing this to try and remove the obstructions of the flow of water. Many of the residents have already performed that work themselves. They've already removed the logs from the streams on their own property, which is good, but there are some that have not.
Oh, we're gonna pick those
Yeah.
up.
Any questions for me on this one?
Council?
I don't have a question, but all we, on this to be completed, great presentation, is that we need the mayor's signature and our city manager's signature, right?
I would assume that the city manager can sign
Yeah.
on
No,
behalf
no,
of,
I'm
as the
saying,
city's
I'm saying it
agent.
for a reason, so that the citizens would know, this is no funding coming from the city. We're applying for this grant, and all you need is the signature from, as you said, the mayor and our city manager, correct?
Yes, so that would allow us to enter into the funding, arrangement with the federal government, but we would have to, again, the next agenda item is our solicitation of services from Bill Kent with Innovate in order to kind of develop the set of plans. That's part of the submittal package. So there's still quite a bit of effort that we have to go through, paperwork, red tape that we've got to cut through to get this thing done, but we're moving as quickly as we can. Trying to run all the.
I'm not complaining about you
Oh,
moving,
yeah, no,
just
I
about the
didn't.
signatures that
Yeah.
you need, yeah, that's it.
Yes, ma'am. But
Okay.
based on this agreement, there are no funds proposed, no public, City of Valdosta funds
Okay.
proposed for use in
Thank you,
this
sir.
effort.
One other question.
Yes,
Ben.
sir.
The logs that you say the citizens remove themselves, will we pick those up if they're sitting on the banks?
No,
Will
sir.
we still get those?
No. There are standard operating procedures to cut and side cast those logs. There are many areas of operation where we'll have to enter into where it's not going to be feasible to remove the debris from the actual property. They're very austere and remote, and in most cases, in those undeveloped areas, we're just going to leave the debris on the top of the bank outside of the floodplain to decompose.
Any other questions for Ben? Ben, thank you. Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Move on to item E, consideration of request to approve a proposal with Innovate Engineering for professional design services on this project.
Yes, sir. This is the request for utilization of funds for the $78,750. I did want to point out that Innovate's design services proposal was well under that amount. Their design services proposal was in the amount of $11,500. But I'm requesting utilization of the full funding made available to the city on the occasion that our assessment of the requirements of the plans was inaccurate. If there's some additional level of detail that's required, some additional level of survey, cross-sectional survey, topo survey, if we need to, authorize them to perform some other work associated with this project, I'd rather not encumber the process by coming back before you and going through that whole thing again. And so staff is requesting the use of the full amount of funds authorized by the grant program.
Council, any questions on that approach? None. Ben, thank you.
Yep.
Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion we approve the proposal as stated.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, show of hands. Thank you. Ben, thank you. Move on to item F, consideration of a request to approve an encroachment agreement with Georgia Power for sewer main repairs.
Yes, sir. This is very similar to the encroachment agreement that we just discussed with Norfolk Southern. It's related to the same project. This would authorize the city manager to sign the encroachment agreement. There are no funds or fees associated with this encroachment agreement. Georgia Power did waive those fees. So.
Paperwork. Any questions on the paperwork? Ben, thank you.
Yep.
Council, yours for action again.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this presentation as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Show of hands. Unanimous. Council, thank you. Move on to item G, consideration of a request to approve a proposal for a comprehensive evaluation of the City of Valdosta's industrial pre-treatment program and sewer use ordinance. Wait till you hear this one from our superstar in the Utilities Department, Jason Barnes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yeah.
As tonight, we're approving a proposal for comprehensive evaluation of the City of Valdosta Industrial Pretreatment Program and Sewer Use Ordinance. This was coming from a user fees. We had $100,000 budgeted. This proposal is $50,000. As part of our ongoing effort to ensure compliance with federal and state regulations, the Environmental Service Division initiated a review of the city sewer use ordinance. During this review, it was discovered that supporting programs have not been evaluated or updated since 1996. To address this issue, a decision was made to engage a qualified third party to perform a comprehensive evaluation of our existing system. The city sewer use ordinance and pollutant discharge limits were outdated, negatively impacting the effectiveness of the industrial pretreatment program and its ability to regulate industrial discharges and safeguard to the public-owned treatment works. The review of this limit is required every 5 years. The scope of this work includes the following: comprehensive review of the current industrial pretreatment program, including the evaluation of potential impacts from current and proposed industrial users, calculation of the headworks, the loading for the wastewater treatment plant, which is mainly Mud Creek, full update of the sewer use ordinance to reflect the revised local limits, the plan to enhance the relevant aspects of the industrial pretreatment program. We mentioned that in our council summit, updating that was one of the action items there. And the last is confirmation of all findings and delivery of training for the utilities, because we'll have to train, because once upon your approval tonight, if you approve, then we will go back and reevaluate our limits. And then once we do that, then we will update our sewer use ordinance and come back and present you that. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Like I say, this is recommend approving the proposal submitted by Turnip Seed in an amount of $50,000.
Any questions for Jason? None. Jason, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve this request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Show of hands. Council, thank you. Jason, thank you. Gonna bring back up Ben O'Dowd, our awesome city engineer. Consideration of a request to approve an increase to the construction contract with South Lane Contractors. Drainage improvements.
Yes, sir. As discussed briefly earlier, this is the request for the additional authorization of funds for the Oakdale Drainage Improvements Project in the amount of $15,991.92. This overrun was caused due to field conditions and unmarked utilities that we encountered during the project. And when I say utilities, I am not referring to the City of Valdosta utilities. Make that point clear. Any questions on this one?
Any questions for Ben? You came very close. Ben, thank you. Council, yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve this request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Unanimous. Move on to item I, consideration of a request to approve a contract proposal, amendment number 1 for additional design services for the new water treatment plant project. Again, another exciting project. Jason Barnes, our utilities director, our awesome utilities director, to present.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As we know, this is one of our big projects we've all been looking forward to. Just to give you a little bit of history, in 2021, we applied and received the Georgia Opera funding for the new water treatment plant. In early of 2023, we had phase 1, which was the test well that was currently completed. Currently in phase 2, a well driller was selected and awarded in April of 24 for the 2 new water supply wells to drill, test, and commission for the new water supply according to the Georgia EPD. The wells were completed in April of this year, producing the desired to water quality for the selected process. The project is now in the final stages of the design, regulatory review, and approval before moving forward into the bidding the project anticipated in July of this year. Throughout the last 12 months, the design was paused while well drilling commenced to completion to verify the design parameters and water quality prior to finishing design. As I said, I mentioned to you in work session Tuesday night, some of this was determined the water quality to meet our primary and secondary standards. EPD has required us to, we got to recollect our color, sample for color and turbidity. As part of this is the corrosion study. So part of that is one of the reasons why I'm coming here tonight for the amendment. Like I said, we'll need to complete the corrosion study, that's per EPD, on the new source water and how it impacts the new water treatment plant operation, and then the blending of the water from the existing plant and the new plant within the city's distribution system. The need for completing this additional service is critical for having the project ready and bidding, like I say, in July of this year, and to be shoveled ready for construction by the fall of this year. I will let you know, yesterday, we got a great email. Mayor, I know you were copied on that as well. We got a letter from EPD approving our water treatment plant design 100%. So we got that letter. I will tell you, staff recommends to approve the proposal submitted by CDM Smith in the amount of $298,660 for additional service. But I also want to let you know our test well, not our test production wells, we actually saved between allowances, we saved over $387,000 on that project. The reason, like I said, Tuesday night work session, 387, most of that was because you could go to stainless steel casing or PVC casing. We didn't have to go stainless steel. EPD approved the PVC, so that's the difference in $387,000 we saved on that project. So I'll be, like I say, the proposal submitted by CDM in the amount of $298,660. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Want to just repeat that savings again?
$387,000.
That's awesome. And it's awesome that we're getting our second water treatment plant. It truly is.
Correct.
Might be boring to the general public, but it's not to us.
You had some pictures?
Yes, sir. That's what you wait on, ain't you? Is there any other questions?
Yeah,
Just
I've got one.
pictures.
Just pictures. So this is what 100% design will look like for the new water treatment plant. Wow.
All right.
Number 2.
Just to give y'all, I want to say Yanni from CDM, he's here in attendance tonight, and thank you for his team to put this together, so.
Hold it up to the camera, please.
Smile. Great job. Great job.
Jason.
And I'm gonna leave it up front. If you want to come and look at it, I can tell you a little bit more detail, so thank you all.
I got one quick question.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. That's great that you saved that much money. My question is, what's the difference in the lifespan between the stainless steel and the PVC?
I mean, naturally stainless steel, is going to last longer. I will tell you, our existing plant was built in 1992. We had PVC. So part of that is we have updated and rehabbed some of our casing, some of those wells that we have existing to stainless steel. But I mean, they've lasted from 1992 to now on PVC. So, we did the actual, to see the surface water intrusion. That's really why you want to protect those voids of the casing. We tested all that and there was no risk of surface water intrusion. So that was one of the reasons why, upon EPD's approval, we stayed with PVC.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council, any other questions? Jason, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, this is a big one. It's yours for approval.
Mr. Mayor, I make a request that we approve this presentation presented by Mr. Jason.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Jason, awesome. All right, we'll move on to item J. Consideration of a request to approve a local government memorandum agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for safety improvements at the Hightower Street rail crossing.
Yes, sir. This is a project that was brought before us by the State Department of Transportation's railroad program. Periodically, they'll do assessments on railroad crossings and make recommendations for safety improvements. During their assessment of this particular railroad crossing, I believe they witnessed some violations of the barriers. And so one of the most cost-effective ways to keep people from deviating from the travel lane, going on to into oncoming traffic, and then kind of swerving through the barriers, is to introduce these vertical lane delineators. And so this is what they're recommending to do. It's work that's going to take place on city right-of-way, and so they have to enter into an agreement with us, but there are no associated costs to the city related to this project. This would just authorize the city manager to sign and enter into this agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation.
Probably have no questions then if there's no cost. Council, any questions for Ben? I'm psychic. Ben,
I did have pictures on that just to kind of show the scope. I know sometimes it's hard to visualize, you know, the length of these things, but I did want to include that. John, listen, I'm just trying to.
3D print.
He had bigger pictures. I didn't bring big pictures.
Council, Ben, thank you. Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the local government memorandum.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Ben, one more. K, consideration of a request to approve a proposal for cost sharing for the water main relocation associated with the Grand Oak Villas development.
Yes, sir. So if you're familiar with the Grand Oak Villas development area, it's the new development over there off of Oak Extension on the north side of town, right there where Oak Street Extension kind of veers off. It's the new development in the area where they've been doing the clearing. During our review of the subdivision plans, staff identified that there is an existing 12-inch water main, cast iron water main installed along the frontage of the property. We saw this as an ideal opportunity to get ahead of a problem. And so staff are recommending approval of this cost share. This would allow us to replace that 12-inch water main with PVC. It's installed in the 70s and it's cast iron, which means that it is nearing the end of its useful lifespan. Just as a reminder, we do have the TIA project for the widening of Oak Extension in this area, and this would allow us to achieve some of that utility relocation ahead of that project being constructed rather than during the construction of that project. I did include the actual cost to install, and then I did include the single sheet diagram at the very end of the agenda item that depicts what you're paying for. And so that $107,500, that is the cost differential between what JWA would install just in service of the developer versus what he would install if he performed all of the work that we would like to be done as well. Any questions on this one?
Council? None. Oh. Ben, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Council, yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Ben, thank you. It was a good night so far. We'll now move on to citizens to be heard. It's the portion of the meeting that we ask you to come forward and state your name and address so we may have it for the record. Our policy requires you stay under 3 minutes so others have time to be heard. Please direct all comments to council as a whole. Do not attempt to engage individual council members in debate. It is our policy to follow through with you on your concern. There is a group here that wants to address the council. Please designate one spokesperson, again, to ensure all have time to be heard. Having said that, are there any citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
Bobby McKenzie, 5148 Northwind Boulevard. Rafts of garbage extending the width of the channel and 20 to 30 feet long are trapped in numerous log jams in Sugar Creek. In 2010, the city paid a company called CDM to do an assessment on the waterways. And here's a statement about the quality of that assessment in Sugar Creek. Trash and sewage sediment compromised the quality of Sugar Creek. In some reaches, it was not possible to assess the bed of the material due to the thickness of the garbage. layer. Streams are natural attractors for children. The pollution in this stream possesses a serious risk of disease and injury. Children should be strongly discouraged from playing in the stream until the trash and sewage is eliminated. The garbage should be removed from the creek, and an education and enforcement program to prevent further pollution should be implemented. In 2010, Master Stormwater Plan, for 15 years, this has been the advice to the city of Valdosta. The city of Valdosta paid for. None of you on the council was here, but you do have one member that was on that committee of that stormwater, Miss Angela Bray, who happens to be your stormwater manager. The stormwater did nothing to remove that trash, nothing to remove the trash, and nothing to prevent it. The enforcement plan has been non-existent. It's been almost 5 years since stormwater has had a deputy enforcement to issue citations about stormwater ponds or creeks or any other intrusions of litter into the water. 5 years. Willie was the last one. Even the water goat, to stop it, was resisted and opposed by the stormwater manager. It wasn't even her idea to even research or find those devices, those engineering controls to stop the trash from going here. For 15 years, stormwater management turned our river and creek into a floating wasteland. So yet, citizens have taken their voice and spoken up and taken back with volunteering and cleaning up those rivers. Code enforcement is not picking up the slack from the lack of stormwater manager to having that enforcer in there. There's quick fixes, public works putting dumpsters right there on the creeks, not having them screened in, not emptying them frequently enough. Code enforcement spending months before they go to properties that have been reported for litter and not citing those property owners. I can go on, but I had some news today that just want to speak about. When I heard that they had the logjam grant proposed to you guys, all of you voted for it. I appreciate that, because as somebody who spent several years cutting up log jams on that river and on that creek, it's welcome news. But that grant is not guaranteed. Okay, while the city engineer would rather I stop and shut up and sit down and move on, I will not.
Thank you, Bobby. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Good evening.
I'm John Robinson. I live at 3227 St. Jolene Circle at Lake Park. I want to commend the city manager for doing an outstanding job that he's been doing here in this city. And I want to let each and every last one of you understand that you stood right here and you made obligations that you would uphold the right for this city and all the people of the city, not just one particular group. You know, we had stood up to file litigation against the city, and we had an agreement on certain terms. Terms was met, and we backed down to a certain degree. That don't mean that we stopped. When you took upon yourselves the obligations here, each and every last one of you, we want you to work together unifiedly, in unity, so you have harmony, so that we don't have no disputes. If you don't work together here, how can you see about the people that you obligated yourself to see about? You know, it's hard out here. Now, when you take the people that live in Hudson Dock and Oily West, they don't see it the way that you see it, the way that you think about it. They're almost forgotten and almost left out of the system. I understand that sometimes you think that people don't want to just do better, but they can't do better because they don't have to do nothing no better with. When we did our extensive investigation of this city, we found that there was the elite groups of people through their businesses was receiving the majority of the funds, and this comes directly from the records of the city. And that was too one-sided. We want you guys to work together up here, do the things that's right for the benefit of everybody in this city, not for just particular groups, but for everyone in the city. We're going to stand up on our issues, and we want you to do everything that you possibly can. and work together. If you have disputes amongst yourselves, work it out so that you can focus on the betterment for the people that you're serving. It don't need to be one-sided. We got the bridge issues that's coming up over here on the south side. We need monies. We don't need monuments. We need monies. We need something economically to change, and it's got to change to that degree. We got a VSAP program that we are looking forward to move forward and to work with. There's a lot of hope here in this city, but if you don't do the right thing, and if you can't work together up here, you can't get nothing did out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
My name is Gracie Bacon. I'm on 708 Holly Drive, Valdosta. And I've been up here many times. Nothing changes. So nothing. Right now, if you go down Holly Drive, you got so much junk just piled up. I mean, I don't know why the city doesn't pick it up, or they don't call for a special pickup or whatever. But there's so much junk. And it's getting hot, people. So you know the snakes are coming. And that junk right there, I'm a citizen, I pay taxes, I don't know why, but I do. And you all keep not doing anything. Just like he said, you all should work for all the citizens, and you're not. Because this situation on my street been going on for years, but Valdosta City Council won't address it. They won't look at it, they hide their heads, they don't say anything, you don't do anything, you don't come look. All you have to do is come look. You don't have to get out your car. You just drive down the street and look. But you won't even do that, because then you would have to face it. So you'd like to spend a lot of money. This what I'm asking you for does not cost money. And you all paying thousands of dollars taxpayer money. And you can't do anything for one street in Valdosta. You rather for it to deteriorate. You all like big projects. But you say you ought to start small and then spread out. You didn't start small. You started big. And that street is going down. We had a shooting the other week, teenagers. Somebody's gonna get hurt. With all the prostitution and everything going on, drugs and everything, somebody's gonna get hurt. And we're gonna hear that typical saying, you have our prayers. Well, I'm telling you, right now we need more. You all need to address Holly Drive. You are not doing it. It's there. It's junk. It's trash. And no individual should make my property values go down because they are trash. You all won't address it because it's not your neighborhood. It's mine. But I'm a citizen. Stop having me pay taxes. Stop all this stuff. When I was out of my home for a year and 2 months, Valdosta City gave me all kinds of tickets that I had to come down and explain why my house was messed up. Here's is messed up every day, and nobody does anything. You all are ticketing me, but you won't ticket him. And I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing one thing illegal. Can you say the same about him? But you all won't address it. And when I walk out of here today, you'll do what you normally do, sit down.
Thank you, Ms. Bacon. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Good evening.
I'd like to first say thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. Like my brother John Robinson, my father in the ministry as well, I'd like to commend you for the work that you're doing. There are times when we approach and we come adversarially, and I've mentioned to you before, there are going to be days when we sit on the same sides of the fence. What I would like for each of you to do tonight is to put aside the bipartisan mindsets, the political views, and to focus on something that I think she just showed in her frustration of how we are. We're continuing down the same road, doing the same things, handling things the same way and expecting a different outcome. This is Valdosta, the city of Valdosta. It is made up of everyone, black, white, green, yellow, everyone. And at this very moment that I'm speaking these words, it should resonate in your heart that we should try to seek for a better Valdosta, a total Valdosta, one that is going to encompass all of us and help each and every one of us. Here's why. While I heard different people come up tonight and we commended them, we made votes and we second votes and we threw money out, I can go to another side of town and it looks absolutely nothing like this side of town. I'll give you a good example. The fire department, the street right behind the fire department, that little bit of rain that came down tonight, you're gonna go out there and you'll probably see that area flooded, if not starting to flood. I walked through some of the backyards and there's signs in those backyards that say City of Valdosta right down the trenches in the backyard. Trenches that have not been touched, have not been inspected, that are filled with grass, that are filled with mulch. And that entire area, I've even had it where a car drove off the road into a ditch because he couldn't judge the driveway from the ditch and the entire front. I have pictures of the entire area. This happens over and over. How long do we stand by and see the problems that we have in this city and not do anything about it? And the one thing we can't do is pile it up all on the shoulders of the city manager. This is a total Valdosta problem, and you're gonna have to listen to each and every group that comes up. You're gonna have to work together as a council not to satisfy each other's egos and satisfy each other's desires, but to truly look at what this city needs, because we have to survive beyond here. There are 33 gangs that are operating or better in this city. Shootout after shootout, weekend after weekend, and we're in the hole with the hiring of police officers. City operating with about 4 or 5 police officers a night per shift.
Mr. Neal.
Something's got to get done.
Thank you, Mr. New. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time?
George Boston Ryan, 5004 Oak Drive, Valdosta, Georgia. Mayor and council, I really didn't have nothing to say, but you know, it bothers me because I've been doing this a long time. And I watched and listened to Sonny Vickers pour out of his heart concerning this citizen's problems on Holly Street or Drive there. And I've gone over there and I filmed it in my car, because I got cameras in my car, and it is a problem. What I don't understand is why she feels that you all are not addressing her issue. That's what she feels. I ain't say it was true or not. But I've been addressing many things in the city. Many of you all may think, well, he's just blowing in the wind. I want you to know that universities are using my videos now doing documentaries about Valdosta and South Georgia. And I have so much information in my archives. People outside of Valdosta telling me, you gotta do something with it. I'm starting on my 3rd book. It will be addressing this city. And if you all know me, I don't just talk in the wind. I use the truth. St. John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. That's all I ever use. And you can go from Quitman all the way around the state of Georgia, all the way up to Warrenton, Georgia, back down the other side to Homerville, and you can pick up Madison, Florida. My reputation and the work that I've done is well documented. But I want to say to each of you, Valdosta is like a beaming in on Valdosta. A lot of people are looking at Valdosta. Some people see it growing, but people don't like what they see here. Some people say there is no racial issues here. There are others who say it's one of the most racist cities in the state of Georgia. And as I close, for 10 to 15 years, I've been talking about putting the Georgia flag up. You have one out here now, but look how long I had to fight for it. The city schools put them up. because it's the right thing to do. But Valdosta High School don't have one. Lowndes County High School don't have one. City Courthouse don't have one. Museum don't have one. VA clinic don't have one. And it's all connected. But when you see it on TV, don't say I lied and didn't give you a chance to correct it. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, George. Are there any other citizens wishing to be heard at this time? Seeing none, we'll close out this portion of the evening and turn it over to Richard Hardy for the city manager's report.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor, as you notice, we had approximately 13 agenda items and a presentation. I just want to thank staff for all the time, the energy, and effort that they provide putting these things together and presenting them for you guys for approval. I want to thank City Council for looking at these items and approving them. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things that we need to do, but I appreciate all the things that we're currently doing. We can only get better. There's a lot of things going on in Valdosta within the next couple of weeks. We got on Saturday, we have the Affordable Housing Town Hall. It's at 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Join us at the City Hall Annex Multi-Purpose Room for an opportunity of a discussion of affordable housing. This townhouse is designed for individuals and families seeking housing as well as those interested in housing education and resources. The next event we have is Give Burns and Boot. Give Burns the Boot, Donation Collection Day. Support a meaningful cause by contributing to Give Burns the Boot, a statewide campaign that helps send children with burn injuries to a special camp where they can heal, connect, and thrive. The Valdosta Fire Department will collect donations at both Piggly Wiggly locations, Winn-Dixie, and the Colonial Mall Food Court on the following dates: Thursday, June the 5th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday the 7th and the 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The next item is register for the Stand Against Youth Violence, SAYVE initiative, a week-long program focused on bullying prevention, gang awareness, drug education, firearm safety, mentoring, and more. The dates, July the 7th through the 11th, time 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is also at the City Hall Annex Multi-Purpose Room. Breakfast and lunch will be provided daily. Transportation, free rides available through Valdosta On Demand. Register your team today. Email Officer Randall Hancock at rhancock@valdostacity.com or Investigator Carlton Harrell at charrell@valdostacity.com to secure a place. Downtown Main Street Makers Market, 7th, Saturday, June the 14th at 9 a.m. Bring your handcraft creations and homegrown goods to the historic Courthouse Square and be a part of this vibrant celebration of creativity, community, and local pride. The annual Goodwill Tour will take place Tuesday, June the 17th. This is where the city will host this program, this youth tour, where youth participants will visit key facilities throughout the city. They will go to the water treatment plant, traffic management city, 5 Points, and the crime lab. Final notice is there will be no city council meeting on the June the 19th in observance of the June 10th holiday. There will be no city council meeting, and the offices will resume the following day. That's all I have.
Richard. Thank you, Richard. We'll now move on to council comments. Council, anything you want to add? Sandra? Andy? Two things to add for the events. Friday is First Friday in downtown Valdosta. Saturday is the 3rd annual Gospel Music Festival from 3 to 8 over at the Unity Park as well. So please get out and enjoy that. Yes, Eric.
This upcoming Saturday, the annual Eastside Committee will be presenting Eastside Day over at Vollerton Park. So if you guys don't have anything to do, go by and support.
Yep. And Peach State Summer Theater opens this Saturday at 7:30 with the very first show. Another walk with Patsy Cline, I believe, That's what the first show is. Lots to do in this town. Tim? I'm good. Ms. Cody? Good. I'll now entertain a motion.
You got the council.
I'm sorry.
Please join me next Wednesday at, we have a blood drive. We're hosting a blood drive. Red Cross, and we're hosting a blood drive. I would love to see some folks out, something definitely need in our community. So that is next Wednesday.
Councilman, thank you. Council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and enter into executive session to discuss litigation.
So moved.
I have a motion. Motion and a second. All in favor? Council, thank you. Opposition, same sign. That's not right. We're now in executive session. I heard a second. Who did the second? Did the right thing. You guys can wait by the door. We're not,
Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
make a motion to enter back into regular session.
Back in regular session and then to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands. Thank you, everybody. That was a good night. It was a very good night.
Oh, no, that's right. Proud of that. 13 items. That's what I'm talking about, man. Congratulations, brother.
Is that on Monday?
Richard,
Okay.
he wants a picture.
Y'all say so.
Good night, y'all.